We'll take our first question from Pluto Shinzawa.
Don, 2 questions first. How's Kevin doing?
Latest update, doing okay. Still early in the recovery phase. We'll probably know as the week goes along how he progresses. He's obviously back home. He was in today in the facility and checked in, but it's still early in the process.
Okay. A question on Charlie McAvoy. If you can recall back to the viewings that you had, your staff had of him at BU, his international appearances, do you recall what kind of impressions he made upon you as you led up to compiling your list and ultimately picking him when he was available?
Well, I think everybody had the hopes that he would, grow into the player that he is now and impacting, the high level. Averaged 27 minutes over the course of the series and was really dominant on both sides of the puck for large stretches. I feel that our staff identified that Charlie would impact the game over the course of 60 minutes and being able to play, the way he's built, to be able to play heavy minutes against all players. And he's able to do things at a younger age, and hopefully he continues to get better and better. You saw him move on to a top unit in the power play and handle that role very well during the series. So we're happy with Charlie, his progression, but he, obviously early on you knew that he had the tools and the makings to turn into a great player.
Pluto, we'll go next to Steve Conroy.
Hey, Don, how you doing?
Morning, Steve.
Hi. Just a question on the Lauzon and Zaboral. Are they long-term here, or could they be available next series?
Well, our hope is that they'll both be available for next series. Again, we'll probably have a better understanding on Wednesday and how they continue to progress and to get on the ice. And until they're into practice with the main group, we won't really know. But hopefully we get a little extra time and they can move along in the healing process, and then obviously getting back up to full speed to become fully available for us.
Okay. And on your PK, obviously it was one of the difference makers in this series, but it also got a lot of practice. What's the concern there, especially when you look at a couple of penalties that went against Marchand in the last couple of games that seemed like maybe reputation calls?
Yeah, we took 21 minors in the course of the series. That's far too many. Self-inflicted with, I think we had too many men's. We threw it in the stands a couple times. So you can't necessarily count those ones as being not disciplined enough in some situations. Marsh, early on is getting into the series, and you guys know him as well as I do, highly competitive. He's going to get pushed, and he's going to push back, and he's going to occupy his space and territory. And he got caught a couple of times. We all had communication with him. I think Bergie in particular had communication with him and understanding the importance that he has to our hockey club when he's on the ice as opposed to when he's off and in the penalty box. And he's one of our key penalty killing. Overall, our staff, really did a nice job. They were well prepared for what Washington was going to try and throw at us. It took an awful lot of courage for, you saw Clifton even without a stick one time lay down. Carla, significant blocks. All of our players did a really good job of dialing in what the staff wanted them to try and do in all 3 zones of pressure. And it takes a lot of courage to stand in front of some of those shots, but it also takes a lot of discipline, and we have to exercise a little bit more of that. Being in the box 21 times in 5 games is too much.
Thanks, Steve. We'll go next to Matt Porter.
Hey, Don. 2 quick ones. One, there have been reports that Stephen Camper signed in the KHL. Is that true?
You'd have to ask Stephen that. He's under contract with us. Recently had arm surgery and elected to have hand surgery, so he's in a recovery phase and not available for us.
Understood. Okay. And then what's the status of Kasha? Do you expect him to be joining the main group at all in the coming weeks?
No, Andre shut it down as well, and will not be part of the availability for us going forward in the playoffs.
Thanks.
Go next to Chris Ryan.
Hey, Don, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you, Chris?
Good. 2, if I can. First, when you made the deadline acquisitions that you did you envision these guys would play the significant roles that they did, or do you see it mostly as upside type of trades? How did you evaluate those guys at the time, and how have they met what you anticipated?
Well, I think we as a staff tried to identify some areas and both meeting with our coaches and obviously significant input from all of our pro staff and analytic group that we had areas that we wanted to try to address. You never know what the injuries are going to present as you go along in a very, very compressed schedule. We also felt we needed to address the depth overall and just tried to, sometimes it's about who's available. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to complete a deal, but we certainly identified some players that we thought would help us and complement our group. And find some, as I said, some areas of need. And obviously Taylor's gone in and played well with Kretsch and Smitty, and Lazar's gone in and played really well in the fourth line and penalty killing. And obviously Riles has slid in and played with Brandon and given us puck play that we needed again. And the depth due to injuries, we played 8 defensemen in this round as well. We used 13 overall in the course of the season, so it was paramount.
The host just unmuted me, so
to try and identify the needs of the club the best we could, and our pro staff, analytic group, everybody chipped in to hopefully be able to find the players that would help fill those holes. They've all acclimated very well into our locker room, testament to both those players themselves individually, but as well as our locker room and the leadership of our group to welcome them in and make them feel comfortable.
I want to ask you about Bruce as well, where he just seems like he is the perfect fit for, this group. And what about his skill set, in your view, creates an environment where he is able to have the type of success that he has had?
Well, I mean, Bruce is a talented, hockey mind first and foremost. Respects the game on both sides, offensively and defensively. Has tenets that he holds himself to and his staff to, and it permeates through our group. Trying to play the right way, trying to start on time, and holding the group accountable, and trying to continue to communicate at all levels as to what he expects as a coach. And again, part of that is to have the wherewithal to make adjustments and to see the game in a certain light and be able to communicate it either through your staff. And I think he does a nice job allowing the assistants to attack those pockets of the game, delegate some authority to them, and have their pulse on all areas of the game. We got young players we tried to integrate, and they go through some challenges, and the assistants have to sort of help steer that ship a little bit. But Bruce is in full command of that stuff.
Thanks.
Go next to Jonathan Hall.
Hi, Don. We all know Bruins fans can be that 7th player on the ice. Now, thanks to Governor Baker and the pandemic waning, you're going to have a full crowd there coming up as early as this weekend. I was wondering how you and the team, the guys, are feeling, having all those fans there and the excitement that's building.
Well, we're very thankful to Amy Latimer and Cam and the entire Garden staff for advocating with all the authorities, including the governor, and thankful to him and his staff to get us to this point. We're fortunate that we're moving on to the next round and be able to take advantage of what looks like as much full capacity as we can within the protocols of what the league will mandate, and we need it. The players have gone through tremendous challenges over the course of a year and a half, and missing the excitement of having the energy of incredible fan base, and they persevered. I mean, it's an incredible amount of adversity that each and every one of those guys have to go through. It's difficult, I mean, if you've heard our players talk about it in pockets, that to go out and perform at a level of what we all, including the fans, expect them to do, it's not an easy task, and they're to be applauded for that. And hopefully now we get fans in our building to fully support them in a way that we all know that the Bruins fans will do.
Thank you.
Time for a couple more. Just a reminder, if you have a question, please use the raise your hand feature at the bottom. If you no longer have a question, please put your hand down. We'll go next to Joe Haggerty.
Hey, Donnie, I got a couple if you don't mind. I missed the first part of this, so I apologize if you already asked this, but does this break before the next series give you guys a window to get that second vaccine shots for the guys that haven't gotten them yet?
Yeah, we're going to try and fill in a little bit of the gaps there with some of the players. We're tracking the numbers and the guys, but I think the overall riding principle was to get as much rest as possible for all facets, injury-wise. It's been an incredibly compressed schedule. As you all know, we played a hell of a lot of games down the stretch to make up for time that we had missed through our own COVID outbreak and other teams. So we're going to use the rest and the time to our advantage in that regard the next couple of days for players to be off the ice and away and spending some time with their families. But the answer to your question is yes.
Awesome. And just overall, just gauging how the team played since the trade deadline and also watching that playoff series and how the team got progressively better, it seemed like, and continued to build as that series went along. Just how optimistic are you, long range view of your team's chances in the playoffs, given where you are right now, all factors considered?
Well, I'm proud of the group for for fighting through all the adversity during the course of the season and trying to play their best hockey as we went down the stretch in some challenging situations. The amount of games that we were playing and the amount of injuries we were facing, and we're fortunate that we added some players and some depth, and they integrated very well. And the leadership group got everybody on the same page, and you could tell right from the start of the playoffs that we were ready to play. I mean, we lose game one, you're going overtime in game two, game three. I mean, the emotional roller coasters, that exists, and one shot, can make or break. And then you see the performances last night of Tuukka and Berge in particular. Pasta scores an incredible goal. Like, we didn't play our best hockey game last night, but boy, oh boy, the guys that were penalty killing, everybody played their roles last night and did what they needed to do to get a win. Obviously, we were led by some great individual performances, but I think overall, Joe, the team has trended in the right direction. You have to be healthy. You have to stay healthy through the whole process and get some bounces to go your way, and you make some luck. Obviously, we have to be a little more disciplined with our minor penalties and not taking those. Our power play got a little better as the series went along and scored timely goals. I think the depth of our club we addressed at the deadline, and hopefully if we get running the injuries, we'll have some other players that can step in and play some roles. But overall, the team has played well, and the players deserve an awful lot of credit, and the staff for getting them ready.
Thanks, Joe. We'll take our final question from Mick Colagio.
Hey, Don, congratulations on the W. What's the optimum amount of time between series? I remember even the one you played in, bizarre gap between games 1 and 2 in Florida in '96. Then obviously this ridiculous wait for the 19 Stanley Cup to start with St. Louis. I think there was another one in there with Carolina in '09 after you swept Montreal. But just like there's a certain amount of time, we get healed, we get ready, we get to practice for a change. And now you get to this point where you get stale because it's too much. And I'm just wondering for you, is there a cutoff in the team's mind as you get together and put your heads together and figure this whole thing out and say, how long do we want to wait before it becomes a pain in the ass?
But we really don't control that. I think our team does a pretty good job of understanding the schedule. When the league decides when we play, we're going to be ready to play, and we'll do whatever we can in between now and then. We'll take the necessary couple of days, and if it got pushed back, Bruce would talk and have a conversation about maybe giving them another day and being able to ramp them back up. I mean, it's such a challenging year from the compression over all the schedule. I honestly believe the time right now will be advantageous for us to have a little bit of a reset, and I think if we can get and stay healthy, we'll be ready to go for the next round, because it's going to be a hell of a challenge.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.